Hello and welcome back, and this week we're pushing ourselves to the limit as we review On The Limit.
Yes, hello and welcome back to the British Touring Car Podcast. Back with another 10 minutes with this week, and we're going to have a look at the On The Limit series, which is the YouTube series set up for the British Touring Cars, covering all 10 rounds of the season and looking mainly at 3 drivers. And this year we had newbie Andrew Watson, we had Adam Morgan, and we also had Dan Rowbottom. Your first thoughts?
I mean, that's a great advert, isn't it? That you can remember the 3 drivers. I mean, it is basically, if we're being honest, the poorer younger brother of Drive to Survive, which is the Formula One Netflix series. I don't think it has the same gravitas as Drive to Survive. Certainly there's less people, less interviews, less behind the scene access.
Yep.
What are my initial thoughts? I liked this series, although I think I would be fair to say it could be so much more. And I think that's just the touring cars. In general, at the minute, it could all be so much better, but it isn't. So, should we start with the good bits? What did you actually enjoy?
Well, this is the first time that I've watched the On The Limit series all the way through. I think this is season 4 now. And this is the first time that I've seen every episode, sort of like kept up with the drivers. It does come out at the end of the season, so it's nice to have that little bit of a recap going through the season, which is quite nice. It's nice to see what some of the drivers do in their off time, like this year when Dan Rowbottom went to the Nürburgring and stuff like that.
Busman's holiday.
Yeah, and a little bit of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes in the paddock. Obviously, Morgan and Rowbottom had that big coming together at Alton Park, and there was a lot of...
Was there a lot of?
Well...
There was...
Do you think it was for show?
No, I just think the whole thing is... You don't get as much behind the scenes as I'd like you to. That's the thing. I mean, you know... I don't. To be fair, you don't even get this in Drive to Survive, but it'd be cool to go into the steward's room and have them talking through the thing, seeing the different angles of videos and the data that they make their decisions on, rather than, oh, you hit me, yeah, sorry, mate, brakes me, you know. Yeah. I mean, obviously, Drive to Survive, there's much more background scandal, because that's the way F1 works. It's a circus off the field, no more so in this season. I mean, next year's version of Drive to Survive, what's going on F1 at the minute is going to be... it's going to have to be, I don't know.
None of it's going to be about the racing.
No, exactly. F1 has got an off-field circus in the way the touring cars don't. We just don't have the same team principals fighting each other. We don't have... but we do have driver briefings.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's nothing from there, which is a bit disappointing, particularly with all the controversy on track limits. That would have been a cool thing to have put in, perhaps, to the series. Sorry, I think the biggest struggle of the series, the biggest frustration I have of it, is that 3 drivers.
Yeah, I would like to see, if possible, all the drivers covered. Maybe not in as much detail as they do at the moment, but certainly getting a dialogue of what goes on throughout the season and the people at the top of each champion. There are so many championships to fight for as well in the touring cars, that there are so many different points of interest that you could have. And having only 3 drivers, you miss out on quite a lot of that. Yes, they were lucky this season that Watson went on to win the Jax's trophy. Imagine if he hadn't. And obviously we saw all the behind the scenes stuff of Rowbottom having to allow Sutton through to give him the extra points, or backing off in qualifying at Silverstone and stuff like that.
But again, I'm going to jump in with a bit of frustration, is that we saw the team mechanic over talking on the radio, but we don't get the 2-way communication, so we don't hear back from the driver. Why not? That's these are the little insights that if you're watching something like this, you're a super fan. You're not a casual observer to the sport, because you haven't got the same soap opera that F1 is, that casual people can watch Drive to Survive. If you search this out on YouTube, that's another gripe, but we'll come to that later. if you've got to try to search this out, you're probably going to be a bit of a super fan interested in these kind of things. So stuff like a 2-way radio conversation would be... because I've been fortunate enough when I've been into the pit lane on VIP days, you can hear the 2-way. So it's, I've heard Bobby Thompson on his radio to his engineer and his father. So there's no reason it couldn't have been included in this.
It's something that we've been sort of like gagging for, having it in the sport like they have in F1, and having some of those radio broadcasts between the engineer and the driver, even if they're like dobbing another driver in for track limits and stuff like that. We know it's probably happening. We just don't get to hear it at the moment.
There's a George Russell in every sport, I'm sure of that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, that's my biggest frustration. I think is that perhaps a better way of doing it for this year would be that they do an episode on each team. I mean, look at the stuff that's gone on the team hard in the off season and was inevitably going on last season.
Yes, yeah.
That would have been a bit more interesting than Adam Morgan saying, "Oh, I just can't find the pace in the car again," which is basically what his whole character arc of the series was, is that he can't find the pace. You can sum it up with Andrew Watson's defying expectations, having a lovely old time. Morgan can't find the pace in the car, and Rowbottom sometimes happy, sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe not so good. So.
And a massive team player this year, or last year, should I say?
Yeah. So, what did you enjoy about the series? So, as usual, I've come in with the sledgehammer of negativity, which I do so well. What have you actually enjoyed?
I like the fact that they have expanded it. Obviously, this is the 4th season now. I think it's probably the season that's been watched maybe the most. So I think getting those viewers, as you may not like, but on YouTube, you'll bring in a lot of different people coming into the sport.
We're on YouTube. I like YouTube. I've got no problem with YouTube. My problem is that touring cars consistently dream small and they could be dream big. That's You're telling me that rather than watch Hot Fuzz for the 19,000th time, you couldn't put this on ITV4 on a Friday night or something? Not everybody can watch YouTube.
No, that is true. I do like the fact that it is on there. It is free to air and such.
I get all that. But it's madness that it's not also on terrestrial TV. Yeah. It could quite easily be tucked away on ITV4 rather than Minder, rather than Agatha Christie's Orient Express murder-solving caper, and the Transformer, which is always on there.
Yeah.
This could quite easily go on there.
Yeah, it could. And there are many improvements that can be made to it. I think having a different variety of drivers would help. But having that in-depth nature and getting the small behind the scenes of what they do at home and stuff was quite nice.
That was quite cool.
I certainly learned a lot more about Andrew Watson.
Yeah. Through
the series, rather than what we see at the track or what we see at the interviews that he does on the day.
Yeah.
So that was nice to see. But as you say, it feels like it wants more to it.
Yeah, I mean, for example, the Watson stuff, you're right, and I really enjoyed that. And actually, it was probably the thing I enjoyed the most. I learned through that he was part managed by Mark Blundell. Didn't know that.
No.
But I was also surprised that we didn't get any form of interview from Blundell during the. To me, the next logical step is go, oh yeah, Blundell manages me. He's really good. Cut to Blundell. Yes, Andrew Watson's very good.
Yeah,
it just seems.
Yeah, why did I take him on board as part of my team? And what do I see his career aspirations being? I can understand that.
And why did we got quite a really? I really enjoyed the stuff Adam Weaver. To be honest,
yes,
that was really cool. Why do we not get the same level from Dick Bennett's? And so, I mean, Pete Osborne was there towards the end of the series, but not in the same way that we were. They sat in Adam Weaver's pub, and discussed his notions of wanting to become a touring car champion with his team, etc.
I think the reason that happens more is because teams down the middle to lower end of the grid need that more publicity. They need that little lift, whereas BMW are always going to get the sponsorship and stuff that they need to be in the series. They don't need that extra hype and extra buzz from a bit part series on the side.
Yeah, but it's still interesting to see.
I know it is.
And actually, Adam Weaver provided really, really helpful information on how sponsorships work and why if someone's got a particular oil brand behind them, they can't necessarily go to PMR because they might have a rival oil brand and they can't miss. That's really, and it seems obvious to say it out loud, but I don't think many people realise that because they say, "Oh, well, why can't he go there? He's got enough money." Well, actually, it's not
sponsorships have got to line up. It's got to look right on the car. It's got to all mesh in together as a nice, neat package for the driver and for the team.
Yeah.
And he did explain that very well.
And those are the bits that are really helpful for the fan.
Yes.
And I just prefer more of that rather than just
Okay, so what would you like to see next season?
I'd like to see it a bit more fluid. I.e., if we get a title battle, then let's focus on that. Let's not worry about the fact we've identified 3 drivers. I mean, this year's pointless because Sutton had won it by round 2. But if we get a really close title battle, let's focus on that rather than go, well, we've picked the 3 drivers, we're going to keep. I don't like the pick the 3 drivers idea because if they have boring seasons, and let's be honest, Morgan and Rowbottom had quite boring seasons.
I agree.
Then it creates boring telly. And that's slightly harsh because there were interesting points in it. But I think if you're going to pick, you can't possibly judge which 3 are going to have exciting seasons worth filming when you start filming.
Yeah.
So let's be a bit more fluid about either do each team and have 10 episodes of, or however, actually, be 3 episodes this year, but have an episode on each team, or an episode on each round. Have 10 episodes on each round, and here are the backs, the behind the scenes,
the most important news stories from each round and stuff like that.
This is Ricky Pollard slamming the door shut on the Marshalls bus as he's been docked another way. Now, obviously, we won't have Ricky this year, but that kind of stuff is, to me, would elevate it.
Yeah. Having more concentration on the bigger news stories would help. I think this year we're probably going to see one of the Restart Racing boys be followed, because
that makes sense.
New team into the championship, obviously Smiley coming back and Sumpton coming into the series. I think one of those is probably going to be followed anyway, because it'll be a nice story for them to look at, even if nothing really happens with the team. But yeah, a wider view, more team principals coming in would be nice to get their views on how the sport's going. I liked towards the end of last season that the engineers got involved a lot more. Because they tend to give a good insight. Them and the first mechanics gave a really good insight.
That was cool to see Adam Orban's mechanic. Speaking. Yeah, that was good.
But yeah, let us know your thoughts as well. 10 minutes is already up.
And let us know in the comments below who you think they'll focus on this year.
Yeah.
If they stick to the same module.
Yep. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and get the bell on below. And we'll be back once more with another 10 minutes with.